The macaroni and cheese had just been passed to the left. I want to start there because that is where everything was, in the specific warm, ordinary texture of a Sunday family gathering in October. The kind of afternoon that smells of cornbread and candles, and the particular warmth of a house that has been hosting family for 40 years. The dining room table was full. 16 people. My husband Marcus was beside me. I was 7 months pregnant and I had been uncomfortable for approximately 3 of them, but I had come because Sunday gatherings at the Holloway house were the kind of thing you came to regardless of how your body felt. Because not coming produced the specific social weather of a family that notices absences and files them. Her name was Beverly Holloway. She was 66 years old. She was Marcus's mother, and she had been, for the 4 years of our marriage, the specific kind of woman who expressed love for her son through the management of everything in his life, including his wife. The macaroni and cheese was passing to the left when Beverly set down her fork. She looked at me. She reached across the table. Her hand landed on my stomach, not gently, not in the way that people sometimes reach for a pregnant woman's belly with warmth, but with the specific deliberate force of a woman making a declaration. And she said, "This baby is not my son's." The room did what rooms do. 16 people stopped. Cornbread mid-reach. Water glasses mid-lift. A child in the corner paused its conversation with a toy. The silence was the specific silence of a room that has heard something it cannot immediately process, and is holding itself very still while it tries. Marcus was beside me. I felt him go still in the particular way he went still when something required him to decide who he was. I looked at Beverly. She held my gaze with the specific confidence of a woman who has said the thing she came to say and is waiting for the room to confirm her. I did not cry. I did not leave the table. What happened in the next 60 seconds was not what Beverly expected. And it was not what I planned. It simply arrived the way truth arrives when it has been given the correct room. Before I tell you what happened in those 60 seconds, I need to tell you what Beverly did not know, because the not knowing is the architecture of what came apart at that table. Beverly did not know that Marcus and I had done genetic carrier screening in month 4. It was a standard panel. Our OB had offered it, we had agreed, and the results had come back with a finding that was significant and that required a genetic counselor and a very specific conversation about what the finding meant for our daughter. Our daughter had a 1 in 4 chance of inheriting a recessive condition that both Marcus and I carried. I had been carrying this information, along with the specific weight of a 7-month pregnancy, since month 4. We had not told the family yet because the genetic counselor had advised us to understand the full picture before expanding the conversation. And because Marcus and I had agreed that some information belongs to the people it belongs to before it belongs to a table of 16. Beverly did not know about the screening. Beverly did not know that the screening results had been shared with our OB, our genetic counselor, and one other person, Dr. Raymond Osei. Marcus's maternal uncle, who was 61 years old and a retired obstetrician who had been Marcus's family's trusted medical reference for 30 years. Dr. Osei had been sitting 4 seats to Beverly's left when she grabbed my stomach. He had set down his fork 3 seconds after she spoke. Beverly also did not know, and this is the detail that had been building beneath the surface of our marriage for 2 years without my ever choosing to deploy it, that I had found, in a box of old documents Marcus had inherited from his late father, a paternity record from 1987. Marcus had a half-brother. His name was in the document. His mother was not Beverly. I had told Marcus about the document the week we found it. I had filed it because filing is what I do with things that are true and that belong to the people they belong to and that are not mine to use. I had not told Beverly. Until the next 60 seconds made the filing unnecessary. He stood up slowly. I want to describe this carefully because the manner of Dr. Raymond Osei's standing was itself a sentence. The specific deliberate rising of a man who has spent 30 years in medical practice and who understands that the quality of what you are about to say depends entirely on the quality of how you prepare the room to receive it. He was 61 years old. He had the particular settled authority of a retired physician who no longer needed to perform expertise because it had long since become simply who he was. He had been at this table for 40 years of Sunday gatherings. He had held Beverly's hand at her husband's funeral. He had delivered the medical opinions that 3 generations of this family had trusted. He picked up his napkin from his lap and set it on the table. He looked at Beverly. "Beverly," he said. The room had not yet released its breath. "I need to say something," he said. "And I need to say it here because you have said something here and the here matters." Beverly looked at him with the specific expression of a woman who has not anticipated this particular response. "I reviewed Marcus and Naomi's genetic screening results in August," he said. "They came to me for guidance on the carrier findings. I spent 2 weeks reviewing the panel with them and consulting with the genetic counselor who had done the analysis." He paused. "Both Marcus and Naomi carry the same recessive marker," he said. "The same one. Which means, Beverly, that this child carries genetic material from both of her parents. Which is the only way a child can carry a marker that belongs specifically to the Holloway family line." He looked at Beverly. "I know this marker. I know where it comes from. It comes from your husband's side. And it is in this baby." The room was still. "This is Marcus's child," Dr. Osei said. "I can tell you this with the certainty of 30 years of obstetrics and the specific certainty of a man who knows this family's medical history." He sat down. He picked up his fork. He said to no one in particular, "The cornbread is going cold." The room exhaled. All 16 of them. And the silence that followed was the specific silence of a room that has just witnessed something irreversible. Marcus stood up 4 seconds after Dr. Osei sat down. Not quickly, with the specific deliberateness of a man who has just received confirmation of something he already knew and who is now standing inside what the confirmation requires of him. He was 38 years old. He was the man I had married 4 years ago in a ceremony that Beverly had organized with the specific thoroughness of a woman who considered her son's wedding primarily an event that reflected on her. He was the man who made coffee every morning and remembered the things I mentioned without writing them down and who had been, for the entire 7 months of this pregnancy, the most present and attentive person I had known. He looked at his mother. He did not raise his voice. "This is important." The absence of volume is what made what he said land with the weight it landed with. "Mama," he said, "I need you to hear what I'm about to say." Beverly was looking at her plate. "Look at me," he said. She looked up. "What you just said," he said, "in this room, in front of our family, to my wife, I need you to understand that there is no version of the next year, or the next 10 years, or whatever time we have together, in which that is something I am going to forget or minimize or allow you to walk back without acknowledgement." He paused. "Naomi has done nothing to you. She has been patient with you in ways I have not always deserved. She has shown up to this table every Sunday for 4 years. And today, in front of 16 people, you said the most damaging thing one woman can say to another woman carrying her husband's child." Beverly's eyes were wet. "I know you are afraid," he said. "I know that fear comes from somewhere. But fear does not give you permission to harm the people I love. It never has and it never will." He looked at me. "Are you okay?" he said. I looked at him. I nodded once. He sat back down. He reached under the table and held my hand. Nobody at the table said anything for a full minute. The child in the corner had set down its toy and was watching the adults with the specific wide-eyed attention of someone witnessing something they do not yet have the language to name, but that they will remember. Diana Holloway was 34 years old and had been, for the 4 years of my marriage, the most honest member of her family about what her family was. She was Marcus's younger sister. She was a social worker who had spent a decade working with families in crisis and who had developed, in response, the specific clear-eyed ability to see a family system accurately without requiring the system to be different from what it was before she named it. She had seen Beverly coming. Not this specific moment, not the grab and the statement and the Sunday cornbread, but the accumulation of smaller moments that had been building towards something for 2 years. She had warned me in year 2, during a walk we had taken while Marcus and Beverly were inside arguing about something that was ostensibly about Thanksgiving arrangements, but was actually about control. "She is afraid of losing him," Diana had said. "She has organized her life around being the most important woman in his world. And you are the most important woman in his world. That is a threat she does not know how to hold." I had received this. I had not known what to do with it. Now Diana was sitting 3 seats down from her mother. She stood after Marcus sat. "I want to say something," Diana said. "Not about the genetics and not about what Uncle Raymond said, though thank you, Uncle Raymond. I want to say something about Naomi." She looked at me. "I have watched this woman for 4 years," she said. "I have watched her show up at this table and bring food she made herself and remember every birthday and hold her tongue when her tongue would have been justified." She paused. "I have never once heard her say a negative word about anyone in this family. Not once. Not to me, not to Marcus, not anywhere that I have ever been present." She sat down. She looked at her mother. "I love you, Mama," she said. "But what you did today required someone to say what I just said. Because Naomi won't say it herself." She picked up her fork. "The cornbread really is cold," she said. Someone laughed. A single laugh, quickly absorbed by the room. But it loosened something. I did not speak at the table. This was a decision I had made in the approximately 3 seconds between Beverly's statement and Dr. Osei's rising. A decision made not from weakness or fear, but from the specific understanding that some rooms require other voices before they can receive yours, and that the most powerful thing I could do in that moment was hold myself with the exact quality of dignity that Beverly's statement had been designed to strip from me. I did not cry at the table. I ate my cornbread, the piece that had been on my plate before everything began, with the specific deliberate calm of a woman who understood that eating her cornbread was itself a declaration. After dinner, when the room had loosened into the normal distribution of a family gathering that has survived something and is now doing the work of pretending to be normal, some people in the kitchen, some on the back porch, the child asleep in the armchair in the corner, I went to the bathroom. I sat on the closed lid of the toilet. I put both hands on my stomach. My daughter moved, the specific rolling movement I had learned in 7 months to read as settling rather than distress. "I know," I said to her. Out loud. To my daughter who could not yet hear language but who was, I had decided, absolutely present and receiving the quality of everything that surrounded her. "That was a lot," I said. "But we're okay." She moved again. "Dr. Osei knows this family's medical history," I said. "And your daddy said the right things. And Aunt Diana said the things I couldn't say myself. And we are going to go back out there, and we are going to drive home, and we are going to make tea and put your daddy's socks on the radiator the way he likes, and everything that happened at that table is going to become one of those stories that we tell differently, depending on who is asking." I stood up. I washed my hands. I looked at myself in the mirror. The woman in the mirror looked exactly like the woman I intended to be. I went back out. Beverly found me on the back porch. I had gone out for air, not to avoid anyone, but because the specific weight of a 7-month pregnancy combined with a dining room that had been emotionally dense for 2 hours required the particular relief of October air. She came through the back door at 4:17 p.m. She was carrying 2 cups of tea. This surprised me more than anything she had said at the table. She handed me one. I took it. We stood on the porch and looked at the backyard, the same backyard Marcus had grown up in, the garden his mother had maintained for 40 years, the specific comfortable disorder of a space that has been lived in completely. She did not speak immediately. I did not require her to. "I have been afraid," she said. Finally. "I know," I said. "That is not," she started and stopped and started again in the way of someone for whom a particular kind of sentence has very little practice in her voice. "That is not sufficient. I know that. I am not telling you I was afraid as an explanation. I am telling you because you deserve to know what was underneath it." I looked at the garden. "What were you afraid of?" I said. She was quiet for a long time. "That he would need you more than he needed me," she said. "That the baby would make it complete. That I would become a person you visited." I looked at her. "Beverly," I said. "That was always going to happen. Not because I would take him from you. Because children grow up. Because your son is 38 years old and building his own life. That is what you raised him to do." She was quiet. "Your granddaughter," I said, "is going to need a grandmother who shows up. Not a grandmother who is afraid of being replaced. One who shows up." I held my tea. "That is the thing I can offer you," I said. "The showing up. But I need to know that what happened at that table will not happen again. Not to me and not to her." Beverly looked at the garden. "It won't," she said. I believed her. Not completely, but enough to begin. Dr. Osei found me before we left. Not on the porch. He had seen Beverly go out and had given the porch the time it needed. He found me in the kitchen, where I was helping with dishes because helping with dishes was the thing I always did when I needed to be useful with my hands. He was 61 years old and had the particular quality of a man who has spent 30 years in medicine and who has learned, in those years, the specific difference between what needs to be said and what can be left unsaid. He stood beside me at the sink. He picked up a dish towel. He began drying. We did not speak for a while. "Thank you," I said. "You don't need to thank me," he said. "I'm going to anyway," I said. He dried a bowl with the specific patient attention of a man who does everything with the same quality of care. "The screening results," I said. "You didn't have to use them." "No," he said. But Beverly had used something that required a specific kind of correction. And the correction needed to come from someone she would receive. "She receives you," I said. "She trusts medicine," he said. "It's the one authority she doesn't argue with." He set the bowl down. "I have known Beverly for 40 years. She is not a bad woman. She is a woman who has been the center of her family's gravity for so long that any shift in that gravity feels like an ending." "Yes," I said. "Your daughter is going to shift everything," he said. "In the best possible way. And Beverly is going to need time to understand that new things don't replace old ones. They expand them." I washed another dish. "The genetic marker," I said. "The finding in the screening. Is she going to be okay?" Dr. Osei was quiet for a moment, the specific medical quiet of a man choosing words with precision. "She has a 25% chance of inheriting the condition," he said. "That means a 75% chance she won't. And if she does, we will know early and we will address it early." He looked at me. "She is going to be okay." I breathed. "Okay," I said. We kept washing. We drove home in the specific quiet of two people who have been through something together and do not yet need to process it with words. Marcus drove. I had my hand on my stomach, not from worry, from the specific habit of 7 months of carrying someone and having learned that the hand on the stomach was its own form of conversation. "Are you okay?" he said. "Eventually." "Getting there," I said. "I should have." "Marcus," I said. "Don't do that." "What?" he said. "The thing where you go back through what you should have done faster or said louder," I said. "You said what needed to be said. You said it the right way. The right way doesn't always feel fast enough, but it lands better than the fast way." He drove. "She talked to you," he said. "On the porch." "Yes," I said. "Was it?" "It was a beginning," I said. "That's what I offered her." "A beginning." He was quiet. "The document," he said. "The one from my father's box." I looked at him. "I thought about it," I said. At the table. "I thought, I have something that would end this conversation in a way she would never recover from." "But you didn't use it," he said. "No," I said. "Why?" he said. I looked at the October night through the windshield, the specific dark of a season that has given up on light and is simply enduring. "Because what would it have built?" I said. "If I had used it, the room would have been silent for a different reason. And your mother would have been hurt in a way that had nothing to do with what she said about me and everything to do with the secret your father kept for 30 years. And that secret belongs to the person it belongs to. It doesn't belong to a dining room table." Marcus drove. "That's who you are," he said. "I hope so," I said. "It is," he said. He reached over and held my hand for the rest of the drive. Our daughter moved. She was settling. We were almost home. Here is what I kept from an October Sunday and a dining room table and 60 seconds that left 16 people speechless. I kept Dr. Osei's sentence, "I know this marker. I know where it comes from. It comes from your husband's side. And it is in this baby." Not because I needed the vindication, I had never needed the room to believe me because I had always known the truth. But because the sentence exists now in the memories of 16 people, and some truths need witnesses before they can live in the world correctly. I kept Marcus at the table. The specific deliberate rising of a man who decided who he was and stood inside the decision without raising his voice. "She has been patient with you in ways I have not always deserved." He said this about me in a room full of his family. I will carry it for the rest of my life, not because I needed him to say it, but because he said it anyway. There is a difference between those two things, and the difference matters enormously. I kept Diana's sentence. I have never once heard her say a negative word about anyone in this family. Not once. Diana said what I could not say for myself, which is the specific gift of someone who has been watching and who speaks at the exact moment the watching becomes useful. I kept the porch conversation with Beverly. Not the apology, she did not give one in the traditional form, and I did not require one. I kept the beginning she offered. Beginnings are their own kind of gift when they come from someone who has spent 40 years being the center of everything and is learning, slowly and imperfectly, to make room. I kept both hands on my stomach in the bathroom, sitting on the closed toilet lid, telling my daughter we were okay. We were okay. We are okay. She was born in December, healthy and full term, with her father's forehead and my grandmother's eyes and the specific weight of a person who has been the subject of great drama before she was even born and who arrived, regardless, on her own schedule and entirely herself. The genetic screening came back at 6 weeks. She did not inherit the condition. Beverly was in the room when we got the news. She cried. So did I. We were building something. One Sunday at a time. If this story reached something in you, if you have ever been in a room where someone said the devastating thing and then something happened that you did not expect, I want to hear about it in the comments. What happened in your 60 seconds? Stories like this one stay alive because people carry them forward. Share this with someone who needs it today. And if you would like more stories told honestly, the way things worth keeping deserve to be told, subscribe. We will be here. The end.